us a special word. So if you guys can give me your undivided attention. Michael Jones.
Thank you. All right. So, as I always do, yo, what it do though? Yeah. First and foremost, I just want to thank the Fort Valley State University. I appreciate y'all, man, for having me out here. And I also want to thank y'all for putting this on, and Mr. Carter personally. So, as was said, I'm Michael Jones, but I go by many different names. It's Jones when I'm up here talking to the people, doing my spoken word thing. It's Jizzle when I'm spitting bars. Trust me, I'm a beast on that track, y'all, when it comes to that. Jokes to baby when I'm talking to the ladies. You know what I'm saying? I'm single, y'all holler at me. Nah, I'm just playing. But for real. So, despite all the names that I've gone through, what's always remained constant is who I am. And I don't mean like I've never changed, I never evolved. I mean like I've always just been me. And real quick, 3 things about me. I love alliteration, I have an infatuation with metaphors, and I have an affinity for writing rhymes. And if there's anything that I can leave you with here tonight, let it be this. Life is the game. Never sleep on your potential, and always dream to be different. So, I gotta warn you, this is not gonna be the traditional type of speech. There's gonna be twists, turns, ups, downs, highs, lows, right? You get it? So, I just wanna say that I'm gonna say it real quick. Right, all right, so I might get a little animated, I might get a little rambunctious, I might drop a bar here or there. There might be the oft-quoted cultural philosopher, AKA the rapper. And real quick, so I'm an 80s baby, 90s kid, right? Hip-hop head. And I just don't think that rappers get the credit that they deserve for their introduction of cultural vernacular into the pop culture lexicons. I just want to give them their props real quick. But aside from that, through the twists and turns, the trials and tribulations, the travesties and tragedies of life, I've been able to kind of develop this sort of philosophy of mine. And it feels like we're all just kind of like running around here trying to figure out something that changes every day, right? Like it literally changes every day. So how do you remain solid in a world that is ever changing? Quick shameless plug. So I wrote a book on just that thing. And if you actually look at the card that you were given, you could use the QR code and get it. But aside from that, let me get real serious real quick. Because I was brought here to talk about suicide awareness. And this is a very serious topic. And unfortunately, I'm very intimately familiar with this topic, not only as someone who has stared down the barrel of a 9mm with his finger on the trigger, but as someone who has also lost homies to suicide. So even though you see me up here joking and stuff like that, I need you to know that this is a very serious subject. And if you feel thoughts of suicide, isolation, desperation, or anything like that, seek out help as soon as you can. All right, so now the PSA is out the way, let's get back into this thing. So like I said, how do you remain solid in an ever-changing world? For me, it's a challenge. I find myself stumbling daily. It's like a 10-round boxing match, and I'm just getting drilled by haymakers, pow, pow, boom, right? So I'll give y'all a better visual. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are, sunny Las Vegas, the beautiful Grand GMG Casino for what the pundits are calling the biggest fight of a lifetime. We now take you down to Michael Buffer for the introductions. Y'all know the introducers, right? They be like, in this corner, with an unimpressive record of 1 and about 5, weighing about 150 soaking wet, Mike Jones. But, Vegas, they got their money on the winner, right? So they're like, in this corner, a heavyweight in the mental health division with a very impressive record, weighing heavily with unresolved trauma and unhealed pain. It is the assassinator of ambition, the destroyer of dreams, and the murderer of motivation. It is depression, right? And then you got your sports commentator, somebody like Shannon Sharp, right? He'd be like, skill. Now, when he got hit like that in the 7th round, and his head bounced off that canvas like, oh, Goat James on a fast break, skill. They should have threw a flag. Skill, they should have threw a towel. I thought they were going to throw a funeral because he was done. And if we're being honest, y'all, I thought I was done too. Because there were some very, very dark times. But through those dark times, I was able to see some really beautiful moments that allowed me to understand that life really offers balance. Boy. So, give me one second. Right. It's like a crazy cosmic dance that we do to this universe's rhythm. And, sometimes it feels like we just get out of step, right? It feels like we get out of key. And I had to do things to get my groove back. And I hope that by sharing them with you, that you guys will be able to feel and hear the music again too. So, I said I'm big on metaphors, right? So let's get meta. It's a metaphor inside of a metaphor. We're gonna go deep. So, we're gonna work our way from the inside and go out. Right. One of the most fundamental and foundational moments in my life sprang out of pure desperation. I was sitting in my office, once again contemplating what was the point of all of this nonsense. And as I was going through my obsessive loops, and y'all know what I mean, when you take a bad thought, turn it into a bad moment, then it becomes a bad day, that's called self-sabotage. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But as I continued to stare at the desk, it finally hit me. Quick backstory. So, most of my content creation surrounds this concept of 4 quarters, like a literal 4 silver quarters. And I keep them on my desk during my podcast. I even made a conceptual album about it, this, that, and the other. Essentially, it goes like this. If you have all 4 quarters, then you have $1, or you're 100, right? Keeping it 100. It's about feeling complete. So, I started to ask myself, as I'm staring at these quarters, what are mine? What would get me out of this phase right here and getting back to feeling 100%? And as I continued to stare at the quarters and just ponder upon this idea, the thought, I just started writing it down. And pretty soon I had a real dope little manuscript. But after I formatted it, I realized it was more, y'all. Like, it was a way of life that just completely changed for me, a complete shift in my thought patterns. I was able to see through everything that was blocking my view. And the "what are your 4 quarters" mantra was born. But then I realized, like, I could literally apply this to anything, and I could see how the components of anything function. Essentially, reverse engineering. So I went ahead and started to apply it to just everything. And y'all, that's how we get back to the metaphor from the metaphor. I promise I'm not like ADHD. There's a method to the madness. So, all right. After I decided to, do all of that, I continued to, take more and more approaches at how can I implement this theory. And then I realized that the quarters aren't just what I was staring at that day in my office. They're also the amount of time that it takes to play the game. And like I told y'all, life is the game. And what I mean by that is that whether you know it or not, you are always playing. There's settings, there's sliders, there's cheat codes, there's bosses, there's quests, and like Meek Mill says, there's levels to this. So, with that being said, I was like, how do I apply this 4-quarter approach to it? And the question changed from how do I get my dollar out of the day to how do I go full Mamba mentality when it's tip-off? R.I.P. Kobe, R.I.P. Gigi. And it made me understand that without preparation, there can be no victory. Instantly, I knew the first quarter had to be preparation. You have to study and prepare yourself for the game or whatever it is that you are trying to conquer. And also, in doing that, you recognize that there's a whole bunch of different avenues that you get to take when doing such. Excuse me one sec. Right. In doing preparation, I apologize, y'all, but in doing preparation, there's things that it leads you to do. And the reason that is very, very fundamental and foundational, I'll let Sun Tzu tell you why. And he says, if you know yourself and you know your enemy, you need not fear the result of 100 battles, right? But if you know yourself, but not your enemy, then for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. And if you know not yourself nor your enemy, then for every battle, you will lose. In other words, you have to do your due diligence and prepare yourself for whatever it may be that you are trying to conquer. And as I continue to go deeper and deeper, I explored and realized that you cannot win if you're not there. You know, a lot of us have the tools, the talents, and the skills to take on the world, but we refuse to believe in ourselves long enough to take that risk, to take that shot. But if you don't, you won't. And it's as simple as that. And that's why the second quarter is showing up. You have to show up. And you have to give yourself a chance before anybody else will. And back when I was selling back when I was a street pharmaceutical representative specializing in medicinal herbal supplements and services, it was upon me to get up there and show up. I had to get to the track and do my. The reason I bring that up, y'all, is because 4 quarters in an ounce that equals a zone. Another way to say the zone would be, end zone, which equals 100. That's another way to keep it 100. Sometimes they call we only sell 2 quarters. That'd be the halftime. That brings us back to where we were the second and third quarter. And remember, we said self-sabotage that normally creeps up during the second and third quarter. That's when all of your shortcomings, your flaws, your mistakes, they start to play on that little IMAX theater screen inside your mind. We start to believe that since it hasn't worked, it can't work, that it won't work. We ironically watch people do the same thing we wish we could do. And rather than allow it to encourage us, y'all, we turn into haters. We be like, bruh, I know I'm better than him. Cut, I'm better than him. Bruh, we better than them. Guess what? You just might be. But what does it matter if you keep stopping every time it gets hard? And that's why the third quarter is about consistency. But real quick, let me impart some wisdom on you real quick. And I said this earlier, never sleep on your potential. And what I mean by that is that you know that you got dopeness inside of you. You see it every day. You even catch glimpses of that person that you know you could be. And you know who's stopping you from getting there? You, right. But the way I like to put it best is this. We like to say people are sleeping on us, but they're not. We're sleeping on us. We lack the confidence and we lack the belief, and that's why we continue to fall short. But if you continue and use that consistency, then you will find your chances. I promise you. There's a certain thing that happens when you truly believe in the things that you want to do. I promise you, if you stay consistent, your opportunity will come again. And I know Eminem has conditioned y'all to believe you only get one shot to blow, but I promise you, you will get another opportunity. And when that opportunity comes, that is when your fourth quarter comes into play. You have to take all of your corrections and your lessons and everything that you learn. You have to take that heartache, that pain, all of that hurt. You got to take your fear and your doubt, and you got to use it as the fuel and the motivation to drive you across that finish line. And I think I'm starting to mix up my sports references, but I think you guys understand what I'm saying. The fourth quarter is all about, it's all about understanding that you have to finish strong. You have to. You've been doing the consistency. Now it is time to finish strong. That is your fourth quarter. But also when it comes to consistency, you have to not just want it, but you also have to know that there is nothing that will stop you from getting it. So, before I get to my favorite part, I just want to drop a couple more nuggets of wisdom for y'all. The reason that I really love alliteration is because it allows you the ability to create a consistent flow of words that start with the same letter that also supply a larger message. So the one that I'm going to give y'all tonight are the 5 F's to live by. You never front, you never fake, you never flex, you never fold, you never fabricate. Alright? Never front on anybody. Always keep it solid. Never fake the funk. If you're not feeling something, be honest with yourself and those around you. Never flex. It's cool to feel yourself. Have confidence. You know what I'm saying? But, as Kendrick said, be humble and sit down. Also, never fold. Always stay true to your principles. Don't ride the wave just because it is the wave. Alright? We set the trends. We don't follow them. And never fabricate. You ain't gotta lie to kick it. If you are on the up about life, I promise it will be so much easier. Plus, once you tell one lie, gotta tell another lie, and then it eventually catches you in the end. So, you stick with the 5 F's, you always get an A. Alright, they can't all be gold. But, it's a mantra to live by. But if I had to describe my ethos, it would be dream to be different. And despite whatever pitfalls this mentality may have led me into, and trust me, it's been a rough road, y'all. But I can find solace and peace in the fact that there ain't another brother on this planet that can do what I can do. And guess what? The same goes for you. All right? We all possess levels of untapped greatness. Now, I'm not going to get hotep on y'all, but we was kings! But I will say that there are deep levels of untapped greatness, and sometimes it's just hard to see it through the fog. But I will say that each and every one of us has the ability to spark change. And every one of us is an essential character in this story titled life. And we all have pages that haven't been written, and we all have chapters that haven't even begun. And one thing is for sure, that you will never ever complete your story if you finish it early. Because all you will be left with are some unfinished lines and some blank pages. So, let me go ahead and finish this up, wrap it up the way I know best is. So like I say, the way I know best is to leave y'all with this message. So look, I've been arrested, lost an election, OCD, obsession, battle-tested, bills and collection, prostate infection, no flex. Whew. I was stressing because I was sexing unprotected with my ex. 1 out of 5 stars. Ghetto, I don't suggest it. But look, I've been betrayed and neglected, lost my faith in all my essence, been led astray by those deceptive, downward ways, the wrong direction. Every day I was regressing. I almost ate my Smith & Wesson. Every day made the wrong selection, was so frustrated and desperate. I was ashamed of my complexion and afraid of my reflection. And I know you're aching with the question, is it like a point to all of this, like a destination that I'm heading? Yes, trust me. I'm going to take and compress it. So look, with every step that I was stepping, I noticed that I had gained some more perspective. I realized that life was the game just like Tekken. And you can still win, even when down to your last seconds. And also those losses, they're really just lessons. So dream to be different and go past what's expected. You just have to prepare for the testing, show up and be present, be consistent with progression, and finish strong with your corrections. So on those days when y'all be down and out and think that you really be needing some luck, just remember those 4 quarters. You'll always keep it a buck. I'm Jones.